This is Gabriela on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. We have a real treat for you just around the corner, and that is Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. Jeff is the owner of Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and he will be coming to you weekly to teach you more about empowered living. Now, let's join Jeff already in the studio.
Hello and welcome. This is Jeff Byrd with Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and we are on Empowered Living. The topic we're going to discuss today is leaders building leaders. Now, maybe you've seen statistics or reports, but what those show is that most leaders stop when they finish building themselves. Maybe they've built their corporation, maybe they built their enterprise, or whatever it is that they've set out to do, they've built it, they accomplished their goals, and then they stop there. And often you'll see an organization, a church, something where there's been a very charismatic, influential leader, and they've built things up, and they've got it going in the direction, and they've fulfilled some goals, but then maybe they retire or step down or move on to something else, and then a little while later, the whole movement just kind of peters out. People just kind of lose interest because it was all built around that one leader, because one of the greatest failures of leadership is the failure to reproduce other leaders. That's the only way that our legacy is going to live on after we're gone. We can do something ourselves, but given time, who remembers who won the Olympics back in the 20s or 40s? We can do great things for ourselves, but unless we develop a pattern of building up other leaders who build up other leaders who build up other leaders, and then that success, that legacy lives on after we're gone, after we step down, after we retire. So it's learning to develop other leaders who will develop other leaders. There's a lot of things that stop leaders from doing this. Some of it's ego, some of it's just short-sightedness. There's many things, but the greatest leaders are the ones who build up the other people around them to lead and then to develop other people so that it's ongoing. One of my favorite sayings is that the only way to make sure that our hard-learned lessons aren't lost is to plant them in the heart of another leader, because that other leader is going to take them and develop them, and they're going to grow, and then they're going to pass them on. And so long after we're off the scene, those same truths, that same wisdom is living on and is bearing fruit. Now, the passage I want to look at today, I want to give a little background to, so you'll kind of understand what's happening here. This is back in the early church. So this is a long time ago, but just like today, there were some very, very poor people on the scene. And Paul is concerned for these folks, and one of the men on his leadership team is a man by the name of Titus, and he's concerned for these folks as well. Then there's a group of people in the city of Corinth that Paul is writing to, and these folks wanted to help out their poor brothers and sisters in the other areas. So previously, of course, communication wasn't like it is now. It took a little while, and it took a while for people to get places too. Travel wasn't like it is today either. But these people had made a pledge, made a commitment, said they really wanted to help out these poor brothers and sisters in other areas. So they had said that they would put together a collection, and they would get this gift ready. So some time had passed, and now Paul and Titus were going to come back. And Titus, again on Paul's leadership team, he really wanted to help them get this going and get this done. So this is how the passage reads in 2 Corinthians 8:6 and 16 through 23. So we urged Titus that as he had previously made a beginning, so he would also complete in you this gracious work as well. But thanks be to God who puts the same earnestness on your behalf in the heart of Titus. For he not only accepted our appeal, but being himself very earnest, he has gone to you of his own accord. We have sent along with him the brother whose fame in the things of the gospel has spread through all the churches. And not only this, but he has also been appointed by the churches to travel with us in this gracious work, which is being administered by us for the glory of the Lord himself, and to show our readiness, taking precautions so that no one will discredit us in our administration of this generous gift. For we have regard for what is honorable, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. We have sent with them our brother, whom we have often tested and found diligent in many things, but now even more diligent because of his great confidence in you. As for Titus, he is my partner and fellow worker among you. As for our brethren, they are messengers of the churches, a glory to Christ. Now, in this, the main goal present here is to help these people finish with their desire to put this gift together to help out the poor in the area. But there's some really profound leadership lessons contained in what's going on between Paul and Titus and this other man who isn't named, who's been sent along, but who has a good reputation, a proven character. And so I want to look at some of these aspects of leaders building leaders today, because Paul is showing us some very profound things here. The first thing is that Paul provides continual encouragement for others to complete the visions of good things that they have. This group of people in Corinth, they have a good vision of putting together a gift to help out others who are less fortunate than they are. Titus has a vision of helping the Corinthians to do that, helping them get it together and helping deliver it, making sure that this all comes together. Well, and Paul is providing encouragement. When he talks to the people, he's not telling them, hey, y'all need to get your act together. He's saying, wow, he's commending them for their good desire, for their good intentions, and encouraging them to keep that same vision that they had, keep it before them, and keep moving until it becomes complete. He does the same thing for Titus. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that the best leaders are selective about what they get excited about and follow through on. These are the best leaders. They know what their purpose is. They know what their calling is. There are so many things that come to us, so many needs out there, but that doesn't mean we're to get involved in all of them. It takes some clear direction, some clear vision on what to get involved in. So that's number one, because otherwise we'll just be so scattered to the winds, we won't even be able to get our own thoughts straight. Paul doesn't do that. He knows that this is important, and he focuses in on this. And when you read through this, he's not scattered at all. He's very clear, and then he helps others become clear. A scattered leader is not a leader, because they can't get anybody from point A to point B. They can't lead anybody anywhere because they don't know where they're going themselves, because they're going in so many directions. Number two, Paul provides the best leaders, and Paul shows this, demonstrates it, provides personal support and encouragement. Not just telling people what to do. He's coming alongside the key people who are coming alongside others. He spent a lot of time with Titus. He's brought him on his team. He's developing him. Now Titus is helping develop these other friends of ours that live in Corinth. Number three, the best leaders give examples of how others have persevered and accomplished great things. Great things don't usually happen overnight. They take a little while, just like for these people at Corinth. It's taking them a while to get their resources together to bring this plan to fruition. And it helps to remind people of great things that have been accomplished by others and the process that they went through. It's very encouraging to hear that people whom we regard as successful struggle just like we do. Guess what? Hey, they were once where we are, but they kept focused, they kept learning, they kept resourcing themselves and developing themselves, and that's how they came to a point of success. They're kind of like the man who said, I've worked 20 years to become an overnight success. We may see the success overnight, but the process didn't happen overnight for anybody. So we need to keep people encouraged in their good goals and in their good vision. Also, the best leaders keep before others the value of the outcome. They keep showing people, like for these Corinthian believers, hey, you're these poorer folks that we're trying to help. Look at where they are. Look at their situation. Look at how much they're going to be benefited by what you're doing. We all want to know that we're making a difference in somebody's life. It's so encouraging when people come back and tell us, hey, what you said made a difference, or what you shared, that really changed things for us. Sometimes people come back and share things like that with me. I never take that for granted. I am always surprised, number one, pleasantly surprised, and grateful that, hey, I could be useful in being a benefit in somebody else's life. So the best leaders keep before their teams and those who they're leading and who they're influencing, hey, you're valuable. You're making a difference. You're going to make an even bigger difference. Stay at it. Keep encouraged. Don't give up now, even if it's difficult now. Hey, hang in there, because you're doing great things, and you're going to do great things, and you're going to make a big difference for other people. Mahatma Gandhi is a good example of this. You know, he kept staging these peaceful protests, these non-compliant protests, because of the freedom he knew it would bring the people in India as a result. He didn't do it because he wanted to get beaten by the cops and jailed. That wasn't why he was in it. He was willing to pay that price because he saw the value of what was going to come for other people. And that's why he hung in there. Alrighty. Another thing good leaders do is that they commend other leaders to those whom they serve. Paul goes to some length to commend Titus and to commend this other unnamed person. Maybe we don't know the name because Paul was protecting him because there was a lot of persecution, religious persecution going on back at the time, as there is these days in many countries. But maybe that's why he's not named, but he goes to great lengths to commend him to other people. It's kind of like a book endorsement. A funny story that happened to me is I was speaking with a group of people who had heard me a few times, and I mentioned John Maxwell. John Maxwell, I'm on his team. I'm certified with him to use some of his works, and he's a huge leadership guru worldwide. He's trained over 6 million leaders in every nation on earth. He's one of the Amazon Hall of Fame authors. I think he's number 6 best-selling author on Amazon. He's written over 100 books on leadership and attitude and growth. But it was funny because one of the attendees where I was speaking came up to me afterwards and he said, "Hey, we all know who Jeff Byrd is, but who's this John Maxwell guy you keep talking about?" And I had to laugh at that because John is so familiar to me and he's one of my leadership mentors, and I'm so happy to be on his team. But it was funny that people knew who I was, but they didn't know John. But guess what? John's not going to be contacting me anytime soon to write an endorsement for his books. But if he were to write an endorsement for a book that I published, that would be a huge thing. And that's what Paul knows here. He understands, hey, if I'm going to send people to work with other people, I need to let those people know who these people are, what their track record's been, that they've been proven, they've been tested. And now I'm endorsing them. I'm putting my name, I'm putting my seal of approval on them. And commendation by a respected leader like that motivates people to follow those leaders. And it also, it doesn't just encourage the people to accept the leader that's being sent to them. It encourages the leader to live up to what's been said about them. It's so much more motivating, instead of trying to berate people into doing what you want them to do, to give them an opportunity to take responsibility and to rise to an occasion. That's so much more motivating than the other way around. And once somebody has passed the test, you've given them opportunities and they've showed themselves reliable and faithful and they've got a proven character, then hand the keys off to them publicly. Let other people know, hey, this is what these people have done. This is what they've accomplished. They've been through this and this difficulty and faced this challenge, and they've come through and they've helped other people. And hand the keys off publicly. Hey, they now speak with my authority. They speak with my name, and they also have my responsibility. But they've measured up again and again. They've risen to the occasion, and now I'm putting my confidence in them and recommending that you do as well. Another thing we want to do that's pointed out in this passage is we want to provide safeguards to prevent being discredited. We want to have safeguards against being discredited, because you know what? It only takes one mistake and people will remember that and associate it with us all our lives. If we made mistakes, the best thing to do is keep short account, apologize, and ask forgiveness where we can, and then to learn from it and to move on. We don't want to let it stop us, but some mistakes are never going to leave people's minds. And I heard somebody talking about this the other day, and they said that for all the things that Bill Clinton did and things that are very popular, on the day that he dies and the press finds out about it, within the first 3 minutes of announcing it, Monica Lewinsky's name is going to come up, because that's just the way it is. The one failure clicks in, and people never forget it, no matter how many other good things you do. So we want to go to all the links we can to avoid being discredited and giving people negative things about us to remember. And that's what Paul wanted to do here. He wanted to make sure that this money was going to be secure and was going to be safe, and that nobody would be able to accuse them of pilfering it. So that's why he put these safeguards in place. Another thing we want to do as leaders is to emphasize motives. Emphasize motives. He says we have regard for what is honorable. Look at honorable motives in people and emphasize